What's up guys, Axis here, and I'm back with a new tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create something that you saw, or you should see right now. I did this last year in summer, when I was actually doing every day, using Octane scatter, and not much else actually. There's nothing really too complex about this scene. So speaking of scatter, I have a tutorial showing you how to create a fully fledged forest. And you can go check it out in the description. I've got a video detailing everything that's included. All you need to have is Octane for that tutorial. And I just walk you through how to do it. Here's you can see some stuff on screen that's kind of examples of what you can create with it. And now that plug's done, let's get into the tutorial. So first off, we're going to have to grab a hurricane. So you're just going to have to go and look for one. So, you know, inevitably, when you type in hurricane, you do get news stories about hurricanes, which makes you feel kind of bad that you're trying to replicate one. But obviously, we're doing this for the greater good. We're creating art, guys. So just look for an image. You want to look for something that's kind of got a decent difference between the lights of the image and the darks, because that's what we're going to be trying to blow out, and then we're going to be importing that into Cinema. So I've already got an image, so I'm not going to bother going through all this. But you want to get something that's face down, you know, like top down, looking down at the hurricane. So I've already just tested out if I can actually recreate what I did. And basically the way I did it was I just brought in my object into Photoshop when it will open. Guess I'll just close this and then open this. Right, I'm going to duplicate this so we have an original. I'm going to also invert it, so Control I does that, or Command I. Did Control U because I've got blank keycaps. And then what we're going to do is Control U, and then we're going to turn down saturation. So we don't need any color in this image, just because we're going to be using this as basically a scale map, if that's a word that's used. And I'm also going to do Control M to bring up curves, and I'm going to just do a kind of standard, bringing up, blowing out the lights, and then kind of, I don't want to say the word, there's a term for it, but bringing down the darker bits. So that should be fine. I can't remember if I blurred it. I don't think I did. You can also just go into adjustments and brightness and contrast. Bring up the contrast and the brightness, or bring down, you know, mess around, see what you can get. But this is kind of, see where the white is, that's where the spheres are going to be. We're going to be using a sphere object. You can use whatever you want. So just save that image out and physically jump into Cinema, and we're going to grab a plane object, and I'm going to scale this up a bit, so so maybe like 1800 or something. And we're actually going to be using the vertex mode on the scatter. And if you've not used it before, basically vertex is going to copy an object onto each individual point on your object. So I'm going to do, let's go to our hidden lines mode, my favorite mode. Maybe 220. And there we go, we got a pretty dense plane there. And now we're going to bring in a scatter, so go to Object and Octane Scatter. And then we're also going to bring in a sphere, which is going to be our object. If you hold Shift while doing this, should make it a child of the object you've selected, which in our case is a scatter. And now we're going to scale this down a little bit, divide it by 10, and we've got 10. So 24 should be fine. You can even bring it down lower. But since we're using a scatter, it's basically just instancing the object, which is not going to be too heavy on our scene, luckily. And bring in our plane into the surface. And now you can see we've got all these objects. See, if I export this right now, hopefully don't crash. It's very, very dense. You can just see we've got a bunch of spheres here. If I scale this down, you should see this a bit better. So it's really, really fast, really responsive, which is why it's perfect for making a forest. Go and check it out. And I'm going to go into the distribution tab, And in here, we're going to bring in our hurricane. So if you go to Cinema 4D Octane image texture and then bring in your object that you've inverted and done all the fancy stuff to. You don't need to invert it because you can just do it here, but I did it for some reason. And then if we start messing around with these sliders, there we go. You're seeing it. You're seeing it. So it's kind of replicating the look of the hurricane, because where the cloud is where these spheres are going to be created. But as you can see, there's a really harsh end to this. You know, there's no scale down, which we'll get to. So I'm gonna go and move the minimum up, because you can actually get some good old looks with this. Maybe go a bit higher. Keep going. I know it looks bad, but 2 seconds, guys. Maybe something like that. And then we can just copy the shader into our position. And in here, we're gonna do like -5 or something. Basically, that's going to raise up the object on the white bits. Which is just to kind of add randomization. Like, it's not really noticeable, but I'm gonna check if I've actually got both my GPUs selected. Sorry, I do. Right. So I'm gonna copy this and put this into our scale, and in here I'm gonna do something really small, like 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. All our objects have removed themselves from the scene now. They are gone. They're never coming back. And they're underneath here. So maybe if we go like 0.5. Still not working. I want to have that scale down though, that's why I put it in here. So maybe if we bring this down, it'll look better. Can we even see these objects? No, we can't. Just gonna bring that up. Maybe we'll remove the scale for the meantime and do some random scaling. I'm gonna export this again. There we go. If in doubt, just export the scene again and hope it doesn't crash. So go to Effector and Random. Put this into the Effectors tab. Unfortunately, having it selected doesn't allow you to. It doesn't just put it into the Effectors tab. You have to manually do it. Now we got something really interesting going on. It's not something I'm going for, but you know, maybe you are. And for the position, I'm gonna go something really small, like 0.51, and then maybe 0.5 again. And the scale, we can. I'm going to turn on absolute and uniform as well. And then let's do like 0.1. I want these spheres to be very small. Come on. Oh, it's just going to scale them up slightly. Alright, well, that might actually be okay, because if we bring in the bring in this again and do like 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, export, didn't work. Try -5 again on here. There we go. There we go. Well, actually, let's do 5 then. Okay. Now we're seeing something. Actually, maybe I should add a. Sorry, I didn't explain that. Go to Shader, Cinema 4D Octane, and Octane Material. Drag this onto our plane, and make this just a black. And then put just a white object onto our sphere or something. There we go. Now we can really see it. And I'm gonna mess around with this again, because I kind of like the effect I had originally. Just the scale was completely off. Maybe if we double this, I think that will be the value. Maybe not that much. 20. There we go. And maybe we even want to add more spheres into this, so maybe go 500, 500. I almost did 500 again, but that wouldn't have worked. And everything's disappeared. Nice. Drag that into there. Come on. Did I mess up? For some reason it doesn't want to go above that. Maybe 300, 300. Again, didn't want to do it. What if I hide this object? There we go. And actually, now that I think about it, if we bring in a plane and drag it below our object, then we won't have to worry about it clipping. So just make it the same size. Doesn't matter about the amount of segments you have on this. And we're kind of getting the effect. Bring this down a little bit. And from here, all we're going to be doing is just kind of messing around with the parameters and stuff. So maybe I'll turn this, I'll reset this so we see everything. You're going to have to turn these on and off quite a few times to get it to work, but there we go. Maybe we put this back down to 10. And I'll drag this on as well to the... There we go, now we see it. We see the swirl in the middle. And maybe turn these down. It's going to be really laggy when you're doing it, but there we go. Now maybe we get some lighting in here. So grab a HDRI, so go Object and HDRI Environment. Go into the image texture and I'm going to grab just some random HDRI here. I'm going to bring down the power and bring up the gamma. This is normally creates quite a good effect when you've got metal textures or glossy textures on this. So maybe grab, in fact we'll just use our initial texture, turn it glossy, maybe set this to like 2% black and turn our roughness up to maybe 0.3. Here we go, we're getting something. And maybe I'll copy and paste this, so Control C, Control V that, and turn up this to maybe, you know, 21 or something. Throw this onto our sphere, delete the original material. Oh, and the scatter's back now, so I can't really see it though. So maybe I'm going to turn this up just to see if it's, yes, material that's not visible, not an issue with the viewer. And I'm going to grab a light as well and just throw this over here. Okay, now I'll grab a camera, that's an object and camera. Maybe turn up the focal length to 50. Zoom out a bit. Kind of get a bigger sense of the scale of this, which is clearly not very big, but you know, we're going to fake it. So I'm going to turn on camera imager. I'm going to mess around with some of the settings in here. Turn on neutral response, maybe go and try this one here. That's looking good. What about linear? That's a bit too dark. Something like that then. And I might mess around with the amount of segments in here, so maybe turn this up to like 800. Let's just see what we get. And you're probably gonna have to reset this after you do it, so just wait a couple seconds and we should see something happening. So maybe if I try zooming. No, it's working. Wait a couple seconds. Come on, Octane. Come on. Maybe resend it. Scatter's pretty temperamental. Wow, yeah, that's looking quite good. And since we're already using the scale parameter and have a shader already in here, if you want to, I'm gonna scale some noise over here, so maybe I'll add like a shader effector. So if you go to MoGraph, effector, and shader, drag this into our scatter, go into the scatter, and then we're gonna go into, where is it? Shading, and throw a noise on the shader. Noise shader on the shader. And in here I'm going to do like -0.5. See what we get. Might be better to turn down the amount of segments because it's taking quite a long time to update. So I'll just do that now. Maybe let's just go back to, what was it, like 200 or 300? So I'll just do 200. And that was much quicker. There we go. Just gonna move the camera back a bit. I don't know if I scaled in a lot. No, it should be fine. And yeah, shader. So if we go in here and then turn up the contrast just so we can get an idea of how big the scale is. It's not looking like it's very big at the moment, so maybe go like 3000. See how that looks. There we go. We're seeing the noise now. We're seeing the noise. If I zoom out even more, you should see. Yeah, there we go. Now you see the noise fully. And maybe try out a couple different noises. Maybe I'll go with wavy turbulence, or one of the crazier ones. Can't really see that one. Out of interest, I'm going to try a Voronoi. That could look quite cool. Maybe bring this down to 5 now, so it doesn't affect as much. 25 maybe. Yeah, you start to see it now. So if I zoom back in now, lagging all the way, and turn this up to 800 again. And try zooming slightly, that should reset. Those are my tactics, either zoom, resend, or uncheck these, and they normally work. That's looking pretty good. That's kind of the effect we're going for. You can't really see that it's spheres at this point, but maybe once it starts to sample more, you'll be able to see it. But you can always turn down the segments, and you'll be able to see more clearly that it's made out of spheres. Path tracing or direct lighting. There's a lot more grain on path tracing, so maybe if I turn up caustic blur, should fix that. Fixed a wee bit. I don't really see, there's not much of a difference in this case, so I'm just going to stick with direct lighting. I actually like the shadows it creates a bit better. Just going to chuck the sample rate up really high. And I think I'm going to use a random effector a bit more and scale, because there's not enough variation, I don't think. So if I go like -1 on here, maybe that'll be too high, but yeah, that's a bit too much for my liking. Let's go like 0.25. That's a lot better now. And maybe if I go into our shader, and I'm gonna turn the segments down. This is way too heavy to work in at real time. Maybe for the final render though. Right, so wait for that to chug through that. Alright, so let's go in here and then go like -1, and in the shader maybe scale this down to 1000. Now we don't see anything. Oh wait, it's because this hasn't updated now. Gonna try one of my other tactics. There we go. It's looking pretty interesting. Maybe I don't want to use a Voronoi. I'll Electric might be interesting. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. 35. Maybe 1 to 50 on the scale. Alright, alright. And let's go and see some other options in the camera as well. Maybe bloom power could look nice on this. I don't tend, I'm kind of going through a phase of not liking bloom power, so it just really depends. I don't really like using it because you can really just add the same sort of effects in post. I like a bit of bloom there. Since the scene's quite dark, bloom doesn't really, you need to turn it up quite high to make a difference. And we could add some little gold speckles in. I can't remember if I did that in the original. But I think I just duplicated the original and then I also duplicated the plane. And maybe we, in fact, no, let's not duplicate it. Let's just drag this on, it's already on, turn this to surface now. And maybe do like 250. And we can go to live DB because we're too lazy to make gold material, that is. And I'll get a champagne-y gold. And drag it on to our sphere. And now see, look, these little speckles here. We could also turn down our hot pixels removal to like 0.75. I wouldn't go lower than 0.5 if you're wondering, because it gets a bit too blurry. But now we have a little bit of bling in our hurricane. And I'm going to turn up the size, maybe double, just so they stand out a bit more, because, you know, there's a lot less of them. There we go. Now there's little speckles of gold in there. These will look, these look quite gaudy at the moment, because there's so, you know, there's so many of them compared to how many normal ones there are. But once we turn this up to 800, I imagine it will look fine. Fingers crossed. Oh, that's also kind of cool. It's loaded half of them, like half when I turned up the segments to 800, which kind of creates this like scan effect, which could be cool if you're doing like some kind of VHS thing. It's a pretty cool effect though, so yeah, quite like it. But that's not what I'm going for, so let's resend that now. And Octane's woken up and we see the hurricane. Maybe I want another light in here. I don't want to use any colored lights. I quite like the kind of the monochrome colors in this scene. But maybe a red would really bring out the scene. I think it might be too much though. Again, I probably should have done this before I upped the segments. So let's go and turn that back down again for the 50th time. Also, you might want to turn off visibility in scene. I'm trying to turn this around 180 degrees, by the way, if you're interested in what's actually going on. There we go. And just drag this out of the scene. Don't want it to be that powerful. I want it to be like over here. So wait for that. Maybe that's a bit too far out. Come on. Even pausing the render makes it still lag. Maybe you should just use cloners. Right, there we go. Oh god. Right, it's okay. It's okay, we'll just leave it. There's no time. There's no time. Come on. And now the scatter won't appear again, which is nice. There we go. Maybe turn this down, maybe do like 25 or something pretty low. And our scatter's disappeared again. Oh, nice. So, Let's try a colored light. I know I said I wouldn't, but oh damn it. I don't know how that happens. Alright, there we go. I just want to scale this up very slightly. Maybe I should just do it in the details actually, that'd probably be a better idea. Actually, yeah, that colored light is disgusting. 6500. And maybe 15 or 12 or something. Turn down the general visibility so we don't see it as much in reflection. That's looking alright. And now I'll turn it up to the super laggy option, 800. Can even go higher. I don't recommend doing it, but it's your life. There we have it. I mean, we pretty much had this result like 5 minutes ago, but whatever. We've got some gold in here now. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Watching me struggle. Try to recreate this hurricane that I did a year and a half ago. And remember, check out the forest tutorial. Surprisingly enough, the tutorial for that is actually the scene's less heavy that I used. Like, it was definitely less laggy, so you got that to look forward to. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. I'm going to be trying to post weekly if I can. And I'll see you in the next video.